Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, our friends at Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida. Check us out on www.gamesandcomics.com. I went with cover B because if you combine the cover B from issue 264, you get this really cool layout of Cobra versus G.I. Joe, and I think that's really cool. But here are the other cover variants like we cover in every month. Nino Diaz does cover A. We left off with both the Baroness and Destro still being under the influence of Revanche's mind control. Also, that Mars is under Revanche's disposal. Both G.I. Joe and Cobra still have no idea what's going on. So Alpha 001 commands Destro to move on to another assignment he has planned, while the Baroness must continue with repairing all the broken robots. He wants Destro to accompany another unit on patrol down in the sewer. We learn more from Alpha 001's boasting that while Destro is under this mind control, his conscience is still intact, but the implant just overrides that, so he's forced to obey these commands. It's like in your mind you want to go there, but your body is not able to go there, like an injury or something like that. And except this is what your consciousness, and you could tell this must be like torture. At the same time, out of pure coincidence, Lightfoot, who we haven't seen in a while, and Lowlight are also down in the sewers below Revanche HQ in New Jersey. On Mainframe's order and suspicion, they're planning sensors to monitor Revanche activity. In the past issues, we have seen droid birds and bugs, anything trying to spy on the Joes. So they are still in the dark on the who, but all they know is that they've all used Revanche tech. Again, all-star team of Hama, Diaz, and Kumar are added in this final installment of Artificial Intelligence. I've said it before, Diaz is a young talent we Joe fans should support and get behind. His action sequences are excellent. I'm happy to announce that Diaz will be returning to G.I. Joe in future issues of the series. So, if you see him, tell him how much you appreciate his work. Destro and the Revanche unit enter the sewers, and upon switching to infrared, spot our Joes. They begin to exchange gunfire. Pinned down, Lightfoot tosses a Willie Pete grenade to burn out the robot's enhanced vision. With so many characters, it can sometimes be difficult for Larry Hama to bring out everyone, but when fans take the time to write to the post box, the pit, characters not seen in a while can pop up, such is the case with Lightfoot, so it's good to see him in action. And here's something else to take note. In the next 10-issue series, Hama has indicated that every active Joe will be making an appearance. Going back to the action, Lightfoot's Willie Pete causes the Revanche bot to lose his image intensifier. Sightline and Lightfoot know that they have to buy themselves time and throw the kitchen sink at this Revanche bot in order to get out alive. Remember, Destro is a man of honor. He doesn't want to harm these Joes, but his body betrays him, and he soon joins the fight. Despite their efforts, it appears that the Revanche bot, like the Terminator, just keeps on coming. With Destro joining in the fight and unleashing his toys, the Joes have no choice but to employ and use a new type of ammo as a last-ditch attempt to get away. This encounter takes up 7 pages, but the art sequences of Diaz makes this skirmish flow very nicely, which I really enjoy, and it's really important to point out because not a lot of modern artists are able to do that and convey what is going on. So utilizing this new ammo they're able to shoot Destro's hand clear off his body. And you could see he's looking at it like, oh my gosh. The important thing I also want to note is, remember, the Revanche is mind-altering thing, affects the central nervous system. So with Destro's hand, his prosthetic attached from his body, his hand is actually free of the mind control. So this is going to be interesting in how this plays out. His hand is able to carry out what Destro truly feels while the rest of his body is failing him. So the Joes finally get the upper hand on this as Destro is preoccupied. And we see, just like we do in the Terminator movie, that the Revanche bot goes into shutdown and the Joes are finally able to break free. They set out an explosive and the Revanche robot and, quickly head back up to the surface. The Joes leave with more questions and finally realize the severity of the situation. Why was Destro there? Because Mars and Revanche are like mortal enemies. So they know that they have to go back and report all of this to HQ. Meanwhile, Destro is looking at his hand and his prosthetics, and it dawns on him what I was just indicating earlier, that his hand is able to carry out what his conscience feels while the rest of his body isn't. So he kind of leaves it kind of loose and unattached. In order to come to G.I. Joe and Snake Eyes' aid, the Okterberguard employ this guy named Ishmael to get them out of Trucial Abysmia. Now, for those that don't know, the Okterberguard function more like the A-Team from the TV show. The Russian government isn't too keen on them, and they have plenty of people out there that rather have them wiped out. So this Ishmael dude isn't to be trusted. And you see Brakov and Horrorshow be suspicious when they see this watchtower, and which would be a perfect advantage for a sniper. So luckily, the Okterberguard are always one step ahead of whomever, because they're like G.I. Joe. They have already, they don't go into things like, they suspect foul play. At the last minute, Ishmael comes clean and lets the Okterberguard know that they are snipers. Immediately, the contingency plan takes in effect. Horrorshow shoots a bazooka and blows up the watchtower. But just before that, Diana just picks all three of these snipers off, which is freaking amazing. So we got explosions and stuff all over the place. And it's just good seeing the Okterberguard back in action and doing what they do best, wreak havoc. A viewer brought up an interesting question concerning the Okterberguard. Back in the Marvel Special Missions, issue number 26, we saw that about 2/3 of the Okterberguard met their end. What's interesting is from issue number 6, we initially looked upon them as the enemies, but as the years have grown, the Okterberguard are beloved and part of the G.I. Joe lore. And what's also interesting is they have suffered setbacks similar to what the Joes have had to endure and encounter. The only thing which is kind of sad is now they're kind of being disowned by their own government. We cross back the Atlantic and join in a small intimate party at Granny's establishment. Now, for those that don't know and haven't been following, Granny is essentially the matriarch of the Arashikage clan. So a few members gather to celebrate Sean's birthday. And we see Budo there and Helix, who has come out of her shell, and Scarlet's there. And look at this, we see Sean taking off the mask and see the extent of his injuries, something we haven't seen since when he assumed the mantle of Snake Eyes. And, he blows out the candle. Dawn is there, and we see that, him and Dawn have such a close bond. I mean, I'm not sure if it's Sword Brothers, because maybe there's something romantic going on. We don't know at this point yet. And we see Scarlet looking on, and she sheds a tear. I don't know if she's growing attached to Sean, or is this because of Snake Eyes? Because let's take a minute here. And I think this is something that Larry Hama should expand on. What hell is Scarlet going through? She sees Snake Eyes, essentially. The mask that Sean wears is Snake Eyes' mask. Everything, I mean, as close as you could get to being Snake Eyes. And then Dawn has Snake Eyes' memory. This must be excruciating for her. Next, we head back across the Hudson and into New Jersey. Well, Zartan pops in with Crystal Ball, and we know that Crystal Ball has uncovered some information regarding Cobra's plan and Snake Eyes. So Zartan gathers the Dreadnoks, and we see the whole roster of the Dreadnoks there, which is kind of cool. And he tells them how they're going to come to Snake Eyes' aid. And, at this point, Zartan isn't the Joe's enemy. He has this sense of newfound honor, so he's coming to Snake Eyes' aid and going against Cobra on this particular matter. We finish up this issue with Destro reporting to Alpha 001 on what happened down in the sewers. And he's kind of like, hey, how come you got out alive and the other one died? And he was like, oh, maybe it's just dumb luck. But you see him walking by the Baroness. And if you recall, he kind of didn't really attach his hand for this very reason. Because his hand is able to, carry out his will and not be affected by the Revanche implant. Like the It from the Addams Family kind of crawls over to the Baroness, goes up her back, and removes the implant in the back of her neck. And we see she shocks back in oh my, like a breath of fresh air, oh finally I have control over myself. And we see that she turns to Destro and says, I'm gonna unplug you too. So this is another nice little twist. What is going to happen? Because I think they have to pretend and go along in order for them to get the hell out, because they're surrounded by Revanche and they're outnumbered. Remember, Mars is also at Alpha 001's disposal. So, the next is going to be a 10-issue run called Snake Hunt, and we're going to go into that, and it is going to be awesome. Every Joe is promised to make an appearance, so look forward to that. Until next time, this is Shabu Are You signing off.